You know the feeling. You're stuck in traffic, navigating this maze of cones, and you're just wondering, why is this same bit of road being dug up again? It honestly feels like total chaos. But what if I told you there's this incredibly complex, highly regulated system hiding just beneath the surface? Well, today, we're digging into the hidden rules of Roadworks. It's that universal sigh, right? You're just trying to get to work, and bam, a new set of temporary traffic lights has just popped up out of nowhere. It can feel so random, so disorganized, but the reality is way, way more complicated than it looks. Okay, think of it like this. Under every single road and pavement, there is an invisible city. You've got water pipes, gas mains, electricity cables, and now all these fiber optic lines. And they're all layered on top of each other, all fighting for space. So every time a new service is needed or a fault needs fixing, someone has to get into this incredibly crowded underground world. That's what's really causing all the disruption we see up top. So, how do you stop this underground city from causing complete chaos on the surface? Well, you create a rule book, a very detailed one. Okay, let's dive into this. This is the big one. It's the New Roads and Streetworks Act, or as everyone in the industry calls it, NRSWA. Its entire reason for being is to create a set of legally binding rules for any work that breaks ground. It's all about this delicate balancing act between two competing needs: the need for companies to maintain all these essential services, and our right, as the public, to get around safely and easily. So, the whole system really revolves around two main players. On one side, you have the street authorities, think your local council, and their legal job is to manage and protect the road network. Then, on the other side, you have what the industry calls undertakers. Kind of sounds grim, but it's just the utility companies: gas, water, electric. And they have a legal right to get to their equipment under the street. So you can see this whole thing is basically a constant negotiation between these two groups. And to make that negotiation actually work, the act is built on three main pillars. First, there's a really strict notice system. This means companies can't just show up and start digging. They have to give a heads up. Second, there are special controls. These are extra rules that kick in on really busy, traffic-sensitive streets to keep disruption to a minimum. And third, the authorities have tools to actually direct when and where work can happen, so they can try to coordinate the whole shebang. But, these rules aren't just about managing traffic jams and keeping cars moving. One of the most critical parts of this whole code is about making sure our streets stay accessible for absolutely everyone. This quote from the government's own guidance really just nails it. When you design a street that works well for people with disabilities, you accidentally make it better for everyone. We're talking parents with strollers, someone with a temporary injury on crutches, or even just you or me carrying a bunch of heavy shopping. It's a fantastic principle. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because this visualizes something we just don't think about. A person with a walking stick needs about 750 millimeters of space, but a wheelchair user with a companion needs double that. This shows you exactly why all these precise measurements in the rulebook are so critical. They're not just numbers on a page. And this number right here, 1,500 millimeters, is the magic number. It's the guideline width needed for a wheelchair user and someone walking to travel side by side. So when roadworks have to narrow a pavement, the planners have to keep this exact dimension in their heads. And what about this? 1 in 12. It looks like a simple fraction, doesn't it? But this is the maximum gradient, or steepness, for a dropped curb. If it's any steeper than this, it becomes incredibly difficult or even dangerous for a wheelchair user to get up or down. It's a tiny detail that makes a world of difference. And the rules don't just stop at the pavement. In residential areas, the ideal is that bus stops should be located so that nobody has to walk more than 400 meters to get to one. This is all about making sure public transport is a real, viable option for people who might have limited mobility. Here you can see that 1 in 12 gradient in the real world. And notice how the curb has to be totally flush with the road. The maximum lip allowed is just 6 millimeters. It's this insane level of detail that makes real accessibility happen. But of course, it's not just about digging the hole and keeping it accessible. It's also about putting it all back together properly. So once the work is done, you can just fill the hole back in, right? Job done. Not even close. Putting the road back together correctly is a science in and of itself. The official word for it is reinstatement, and the legal standard is incredibly high. The utility company is on the hook for making sure the repair is durable, safe, and that it blends seamlessly with the road that was already there. The goal is to leave it as good as or even better than it was before they started. And get this, not all roads are treated the same. They're actually categorized from a tiny Type 4 for a quiet little street, all the way up to a massive Type 0 for a major road that has to handle over 30 million standard axles. That's just a way of measuring the wear and tear from heavy vehicles. And the type of road determines the exact materials and the thickness of the layers needed for the repair to make sure it can handle the traffic. The specifications here get so precise, it's mind-boggling. The material they use to fill the hole, the backfill, has to be compacted just right, layer by layer. The final surface can't be more than 6 millimeters higher or lower than the rest of the road. 6 millimeters. And even the road markings have to be put back in the exact same spot. Okay, with so many super detailed rules, there has to be a way to enforce them. So what happens when things go wrong? Oh, you better believe the system has teeth. If a company fails to give the right notice, or if one of their reinstatements isn't up to scratch, the street authority can issue what's called a fixed penalty notice. And these penalties are no joke. They've recently been updated, and for a lot of these offenses, the new fixed penalty is £240, with a bit of a discount if you pay it early. It creates a very real financial reason to get the job done right the first time. And a penalty notice is a serious formal document. It's got a unique works reference number, a specific code for the offense, all the details of where and when the rule was broken, the whole 9 yards. It's a clear, trackable system that's all about accountability. So the next time you're held up by Roadworks, just remember that complex world hidden right below your feet. It's this constant dance of rules and negotiations, trying to balance our modern needs with just being able to get around. But as we demand faster broadband and more resilient energy grids, the pressure on that underground city is only going to get more intense. And that leaves us with a pretty big question. Can this rulebook keep up?